Hi, I'm James and welcome to another review. Today we're looking at Warlord Games Zulu War British figures. Now these come 24 figures to a box with 6 identical sprues of 4. You can see what one of the sprues looks like here. Now there's 2 kneeling and 2 standing figures. Both of these have got a slight variant in each, so you are getting 4 different poses. I like the fact we've got kneeling poses. That was one of my complaints with the Perry set. Head wise, we've got 6 heads, 4 of which have got sun helmets, one of which has got an absolutely lovely massive beard. I'm probably not going to use more than 1 or 2 of those in a whole army, but it's a nice little touch. You've also got a figure with a Glengarry, and a touch I like, which is something that was missing from the Perry box. You've got a straw hat. Now that was quite common headgear on the campaign, so it's nice to see that. So looking at the sprue, you've got 4 pairs of arms. You've got 2 in the firing position, 1 in the loading position, which is quite a nice one. You can even see the cartridge about to be loaded into the open breech, and 1 in the ready position. The weapons themselves are all fitted with slings, and a nice touch, they actually have the oxide cover on it, which was often used because the weapon overheated, was burning the hand, so they would often sew a cover to it. So that's a really nice touch. I didn't see that on the Perry figure, so that's a plus here. Now there's a really nice sergeant's arm and sword bayonet that can be used with the reloading arm. Now that's quite useful. You've got an 1871 sword bayonet to fit on. You'd have to cut off the standard other ranks bayonet and fit that. That's not exactly a big faff to do, and it just gives you that slight bit of variation. Now when you look at the figures, every single one is wearing the correct valise equipment pattern 1870. They've got the 20 round ammunition pouches, they've got the haversack, and they've got the expense pouch, which carried 30 rounds of ammunition that could only be used with an officer's permission. It's very nice. It's all worn correctly. It's all accurate. Something that's missing from these that is on the Perry figures, however, are water bottles. I'm quite surprised at that omission. Particularly when you're sort of moving into Zulu land and the heat, it would have seemed logical to have had that. It's not particularly noticeable. It's only really going to be noticeable if you mix the figures, and even then it's not exactly deal breaking, is it? Figures also, like the Perrys, don't have the mess tins or the greatcoat, which is not a problem because most players are going to game these based around things like Isandwana and Rorke's Drift, and in camp those wouldn't have been carried, so that's perfectly acceptable. Now overall, when I looked at the figures, I quite like them. The fact you've got kneeling figures and standing, I think they've designed that based around black powder, where you have 4 figure stands 2 by 2. They will work quite nicely for that. They'll work nicely based singly, as I'm planning to do them, and you can base them in most ways. My only real concern with these figures is there is a bit of a lack of variety. The Perry, I had loads of leftover parts. I assembled these as basic figures, and all I've got left on the sprue is 1 head, 1 sergeant's arm, and the sergeant's bayonet. So there is a very limited range for how much you can do with these. I haven't tried swapping the arms between the ranges yet. That might be something I'll try. The heads definitely wouldn't swap, I'm afraid, because they've got a different fitting system. It would take a fair bit of effort to convert the Perry ones down. You'd be sanding them down or cutting them down. You probably could, but I think that wouldn't really make that much difference. If I was buying a whole army of these, I think it would look too samey. Having said that, I don't intend to do that. My plan is to buy a few of them and mix them in with my Perrys, and that I can live with them. I think they're going to go really nicely with that. Their size and pose wise, they blend in really nicely. So nice set of figures, limited if you are buying them in large numbers. If you're building a small skirmish force, perhaps you're building something for In Her Majesty's name, or just how I started gaming this period back. It's scary when I think that that's 40 years ago now. Skirmish gaming, I think you can get away with it. Once you start putting in more than probably one box worth, I think you're going to just feel that they're too much the same. Hope that's been useful. I'll see you soon for another review.